Hello and welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can create a graphic template that allows you to enter some text that has a box around it. But before you think this is way too simple, we're going to add a few bells and whistles to that. So first of all, the box is going to expand as you type more into it, and we're going to do simple things like add a border to it. With the border also will expand with the box as you need to do that. We could have done it by adding a stroke, but there are some limitations in that, so I've done it in a different way. As we do that, you'll see how we can make the box match up to the text. We can change anything that we want to in this. So if I pick the text layer here, then I could change the font that's on that, change it to something else. Let's see. And so that's, you know, a handwriting font. We can change it just to whatever we want in that respect. We can change the alignment of the text. If I select all the text, then we can change the color of that. Maybe just change it to red here. I need to just change the saturation of that and get it down to red there. So there we go. We've changed the text to red. I'll just do Control Z to get it back to where it was. We can change the color of the box as we wish. If I just pick up the box, we can change the color of that to anything else that we might want, like a green box, which doesn't look just quite so attractive. All I've got here in my 4K timeline, a background just so that you can see it all against a blue-gray background instead of against black. And then I've got the graphic element that I've added onto this, and I'm going to show you how you can build that. And there is a real advantage, you know, in building your own graphics. I know that you can get them off stock sites and you can get all sorts of things that have fancy text effects, but there's a real advantage in knowing how to do it yourself, because you can be more individual, you can save yourself money, and you can basically adapt any of your graphics to exactly how you want them to look, how you want them to be, without the same limitations that you might get if you pick up a graphic template, which is normally called a MOGRT, off a stock site. So let's look at how to build this, and I'm going to show you how to build it in such a way that the box then matches up with the size of the text. Just delete all that back down, and there we're back to our original text box. In next week's video, I'm going to show you how to animate it. So if we go to graphic templates, if I just change my library to captions, I have a universal caption here, which I can just drop onto this timeline. So I've now got another caption that's not dissimilar to the one that we had before. Let me just delete that text box that we've just been looking at. And if I play this one, you'll see that animates in and it animates out again. So I'll just show you how to do the animation in such a way that you can change the duration of it, and it's not going to change the speed of the animation. It's just going to change the length of time that the text is on screen. So we'll do that next week, but for now we're just going to look at how to create this text and put the box around it that matches the size of the text, and that is fairly simple to do. So the first thing that we do is take the text tool and type some text in. You can pick whichever font that you want for that, and I'm just going to let it go with the font that's there at the moment, which I think is Lato. We can make it a little bit bigger for the purposes of this. So if I select all the text and just drag it, the font size a little bit to the right, we can have a larger font size. And what I'm going to do as well, for the sake of this demo, is I'm going to center align the text, and I'm going to center it vertically as well. That'll just keep everything nicely on the screen. And since it's moved around a little bit, I'm just going to center it on the screen by using these alignment boxes that are here. So we now have it in the middle of our screen, and that's the first element that we need. In the properties tab, I'm going to add a box to that. So if you hover over this little icon at the right hand side here and add a new layer, we're going to add a rectangle. I'm going to rename that box, and I'm going to drag it down below the text so that we can see the text over the top of it. I'm going to change back to the pointer, and I'm going to make this box be the right size for the text, which is fairly easy to do. So we can pick it and you can get it exact as you wish. If you want to move this around in a very fine degree, you can do that by holding down the control key on Windows. And so we have a box around it. Let's just change the color of that to make it a blue box. So there we go. We've got a blue box around our text. So the point is, if I go into the text tool and I add something to the end of that, the problem is that the box is staying the same size, but we want it to change with the text, and that's pretty easy to do. So we just click on the box layer that's in the graphic template. I'm just going to go down to the bottom, and instead of it fixing its size relative to the video frame, we're just going to change that and fix the size relative to the text. And you can align the box to any of the sides, the top, bottom, left or right, but we want to do it with all sides of the text. Having done that, if I take my text tool and add something in, you'll now see that the box is changing exactly as we might want it to the size of the text. So that's really all that we need to do to get the box working correctly. And now I'm just going to show you this additional little trick to create the border around that, and that's fairly easily done as well. So I'm just going to click on another new layer and create another rectangle. This time I want to change the color of it. Let's change the color of it to white, which we can do by just typing in 6Fs. So we've got a white rectangle, and I'm going to rename it as border. And I'm going to drag it down to the bottom below the box. But if I have that selected, make sure the border is selected, you can see the outline of it there. And now as I shift it around, you can see that the border will appear around the text. So I'm not going to finesse this too much, but that's basically our border. And we want to make sure that that changes in line with the size of the box. And we do that in exactly the same way that we did with the box around the text. So if I make sure I've got the border selected and go down to the bottom, we don't want it to be fixed against the video frame. We want it to be fixed against the box, and we want it to be fixed in respect of all four sides. So now if I take the text tool and go to the end of the line and type in some more text, you can see that the border is moving exactly as the text. And of course, as I indicated earlier, you can change the color of any of these things. You can change the text in terms of any of its attributes, its font size, that kind of thing. For example, if I double click on the text, we can change the font size and everything changes in line with that. We could change it to be all capitals. I think that would be it in all capitals, and change it to bold or italics or whatever else that you need there. So let's just put that back to the way it was, and it was just like that. And now you can see we've done it. Now if you want to make that into a graphics template that you can use in the future, then all you need to do is right click on it, choose export as a motion graphics template, give it a name, demo text box, and you can save that then as a graphics template, or MOGRT, which stands for motion graphics template. So you can store it to whatever library you want, or you can put it into your local templates folder. I'm just saving it in my YouTube demo library. You can add some keywords to it, which might, if you have a lot of these graphics templates, might help you find them quicker. So I'll say okay on that. If we go into graphics templates, this is it. So if I was to delete that off the timeline, then I can just drag the new template that we have onto it. You can see all the properties that I had before, so we can switch on or off that border, and we could, do whatever we need to do to it and adapt it just as much as we were able to adapt it when we built it in the first place. So hope that you find some benefit out of that video. That showed you the basics of how to create the text, the box, and the outline, and save them as a motion graphics template so that you can use it in your future videos. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can animate it so that it animates in and animates out in such a way that you can change the length of that and still change any of the attributes that we have looked at in this particular video. So thanks for watching. I hope you found something useful in this video, and if you did, please give it a like because it really does help the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.